What's up, true believers? Figured I should probably wear the Daredevil shirt this time, huh? Okay, so follow-up to the last one. I'm dealing with the Netflix original series Daredevil. I was going to follow up after watching 5 episodes. Well, I just squeezed in the 6th, because why not? I am trying to pace myself as far as this goes. Don't want to do it too quickly. I want to give myself some time to breathe in between the episodes and absorb them and think about them and that sort of stuff. Okay, some stuff maybe I should have explained last time, or maybe not. Anyway, first of all, some very mild spoilers, so if you're concerned about that, that's fine. Just wait until you've seen that far. They're not going to be big. I'm not going to be describing any events or turning points or anything like in detail, but there might be a couple things that, you know, somebody who's really concerned could consider spoilers, so I'm just letting you know there. Okay, so and the other is, I spoke as if everybody who's seeing this, you know, is familiar with my channel and stuff, and that might not be the case. So, you know, Cold Talks Comics, I'm a comic guy, I love comics, and I love Daredevil, so that's why this means so much to me. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that have given reaction to the Daredevil show, and it's completely different because they don't know anything about Daredevil because they went in cold, and they were just like, this looked like a cool show. I don't know anything about the comics or the character, and I'm just going to watch that, but mine is the comic geek perspective. Love Daredevil. Here's just something lying around. Yeah, this was not cheap, but I deemed it essential. So this is a volume 2 of the Bendis Malleev run on Daredevil, the Marvel Knights title that I mentioned. Love it, so I just thought I'd pick that up and show it off. I've got a ton of Daredevil stuff, but that's my best hardcover, obviously. So apart from that, what else? Oh, okay, well, as I said before, to skip to the end, I think it's promising. Well, we've gone way past that now. Now I can say this is like among the best, you know, TV shows or movies I've ever seen. And, you know, because it has a lot to do with what it is, really. You know, and as I said, it's a double-edged sword whenever these sorts of things get a TV or movie treatment, because if they don't do it in a way I like, then I can really backfire and hate. For instance, I'm a big X-Men fan, too. I hate the X-Men movies. I unilaterally hate them. I think First Class is kind of a little better, and the one that came after it is kind of a little better, but for the most part, just everything about them just pisses me off. I hate most of the casting, I hate most of the writing and the decisions. And again, those are movies. TV and movies are different things, and they have different advantages over each other. Now, as far as this goes, one of the things that this has an advantage over, say, the Daredevil movie, which I'm sort of soft on. It's not great, but there are things about it I like. I mean, it's obviously way better than that if I haven't given that impression. But here's, because it's an episodic thing and going to be longer than just a single movie, one thing that's great about watching these first few episodes of Daredevil is you don't have to have a bunch of stuff explained or shoved down your throat or, you know, pushed on you right away. For instance, Daredevil's powers, how they work. There's no big explanation at the start, really, and there's no, you know, clunky, like, narrative, you know, maybe him narrating, saying exactly how they work. And it just sort of shows us, it just sort of peels back gradually the way his powers work as it comes into play in the episodes. Mostly, we just see him just listening really hard. But I'm sure as it goes, we'll get to see how he uses his powers in other ways, too, because in the comics, you know, with the character being around so much, I've seen, like, just how vast the applications are for his powers, going from just his, not just his sense of hearing, but how he can touch things and stuff like that. And what's nice about the show, again, is they don't have to cram it all in at once, so it's been a gradual thing, which is really cool. So yeah, getting back to main strengths, I am really sold on this actor as Matt Murdock and Daredevil. He's just, I mean, well, I don't know where he's been. I didn't know, even when I heard about this series, I didn't really research any of the actors or anything like that, because maybe as somebody that couldn't go in cold because of all that I know about the comic, I tried to go in cold the other way. I didn't look into, you know, the careers of these actors and other people working on the show, because I didn't want to just form a bunch of opinions on them, because that's just what I do, before actually seeing the product on the screen there. So yeah, I rewatched, you know, the first video I did, and I kind of failed to say what I liked about the guy playing Foggy. But what I meant was he sort of exudes that sort of enthusiasm, happy-go-lucky side to him. You know, he's always able to look on the bright side of things and crack a joke and stuff like that. And very impressed with the actor, how he does that so far. He's proving some really good chemistry, not only with Matt. Actually, they have split up a lot lately as the episodes go on, but that's just the way the plots go. So he's been with Karen a lot. Really happy with the casting of Karen, too. She really seems sort of, you know, damaged and naive in a way, and that really seems to fit. So I also talked about how a gripe I have with a lot of TV and movies these days, because I'm really into fighting and martial arts and stuff like that, is how, you know, they'll do crappy fight scenes that just use fast cuts and floppy editing and stuff, so you don't really see anything. A great example of how Daredevil is really proven that they're putting a lot of time and work into this. And as far as the actor goes, don't know if he has much martial arts background or if there's stuntmen in there, but if they are, it's really seamless. Like, it doesn't look like, oh, and there's, you know, a fight scene, it's somebody else. Now, I know he's wearing a mask, but still, it really does look like him. I don't know, but getting back to it, so the end of episode 2 has a nicely framed, long, I'm not sure if it's all one shot, but it's done to look sort of all like it's one shot, much like in the movie Old Boy. There's a scene where he goes into a hideout and takes on some thugs, and it's mostly the camera panning around. It goes between some rooms, and the main action is the hallway in between them. And it's an interesting side of Daredevil, too, because it's not just him at his best. By this point in the episode, he's already been severely injured. He has some bruised or maybe even cracked ribs and some other injuries going on. So it really shows that, like, this fight is taking everything out of him, and by the end he's absolutely winded and stuff, but it's very well shot, and again, it's done in such a way that a geek like me is satisfied with, you know, the moves that Daredevil did, and just as the episodes have gone on, I felt like that. Like, I like the way he fights and moves and stuff. It really does seem to bring Daredevil. Okay, so I've seen 6 episodes. He's still not wearing the costume yet. I'm not expecting that. It almost looks like probably the season finale might be where he finally puts the costume on. It's okay, though, because it's not like he's not out doing stuff. He's wearing the black, which, as I pointed out, does have origins in the comic. I'm a little overwhelmed and scrambled here, so I don't mean to jump over things. But I remember I speculated about Turk, and I'm right, that is Turk. And so far I'm happy with him. Again, I don't know if he's going to become a running joke or what. For now, he's fairly competent. We'll see how that stands. But so that character is Turk. Josie's Bar has already made an appearance. That's, again, a recurring thing from the comics. I think introduced during Miller's run, so Josie's Bar has been used once, and I'm sure it'll happen again. Now, I don't think it's going to be quite like it was in comics. There was a running gag where every time he needed some information, he would go to Josie's Bar and try to interrogate the thug. There's a lot of criminals that hang out there, and the running gag was he would almost always wind up throwing one of them through the window, much to the proprietor, Josie's chagrin. I don't know if they'll do... I hope they do that once, because that would be cool, but, we don't need to see it over and over again, but I do hope they do that once. As far as other things that somebody like me catches, like how I caught the Crusher Creel thing, there's a line where Kingpin, haven't used that name yet, but of course Wilson Fisk says he's going to need a new suit, and he says, tell Mr. Potter I'm going to need a new suit. I'm sure I don't know if that's ever going to come into anything, but it's at least an allusion to the character Melvin Potter. Melvin Potter was one of Daredevil's foes, introduced, I think, in the 70s, and he was a large bruiser type of guy, but he would don a costume and call himself the Gladiator, and he had these big blades on his wrists and stuff, and he was a bad guy who wasn't truly a bad guy. He was somebody that was sort of had mental problems. He had delusions. He really would believe that he was a real gladiator fighting in an arena and crowds were cheering him on, and Daredevil recognized this, and after defeating him, he would try to get him, he represented him in court and made sure that he would get the proper help he needs and go, not just to prison, but, maybe a mental hospital or somewhere where he could get treatment. As the comics got on, he eventually was sort of released and reformed and really tried to make a go of it, and in that he opened up his own costume. I guess he had made the Gladiator costume himself, and he'd found out he had sort of a talent for that, so he opened up a legitimate business where he had a costume shop, and he would make all sorts of costumes, including imitation costumes of various famous superheroes, since this is the Marvel U and stuff like that. And so that's a cool little illusion. I don't know if we're going to really see Melvin Potter as the Gladiator. We'll see, but I thought that was kind of neat. I know I just took a whole bunch of time talking about it, but that's the type of thing that I look out for. Right at the end, here's a spoiler, sort of. It's very mild, but it's a name just letting you know that somebody else is going to come up. And that's at the end of the very last episode I saw, 6, is the name Leland Owlsley comes up as somebody being connected to Fisk. Again, if you're into comics, Leland Owlsley is a Marvel Comics character, and he was always sort of a minor crime lord. He went by the term the Owl. Now, he had some weird, vague powers. He could sort of, I don't know, glide and stuff like that, kind of like an owl. And I don't know if he was mutant, but he would sometimes use mutant growth hormone. Again, in this, he'll probably just be an ordinary guy, I assume, but it's good that they're using these characters, because I hate in these adaptations where they just throw the source material out the window and just keep the name and then just introduce all this new stuff. I mean, what's great about Daredevil and what makes me happy about the series is they realize that. You know, you've got Foggy and you've got Ben Urich, who I'm happy with. He seems to have been cast a little old, but not a big deal. Not going to harp on it. It's not really going to screw things up, I don't think, so that's fine. The actor seems to be doing a fine job. No problems there. Yeah, so again, they know they have this great supporting cast. What I really wanted to talk about was episode 4, because I think the first time we see Wilson Fisk is towards the end of episode 3, but 4 is really where we get to see him. Most of the episode is sort of about him, and it's when he first meets Vanessa, who in the comics will become his wife. I'm not sure where that's going to go in this. But they're really showing, and since he is going to be the main antagonist of the series, as he should be, they're really paying attention to the fact that this is a very complex character. You know, if you think about comic book villain, that basically means the opposite of that, because of, you know, mostly the Silver Age of comics, and back then, you know, comic book villain just meant, you know, completely one-dimensional and nuts, and, you know, I want to take over the world, you know, and at first, you know, guys like Doctor Doom immediately jump to mind, megalomaniacs. And the thing about Kingpin is, in the comics, and in this too, they're really showing that this is a complicated, three-dimensional character with his own motivations and stuff, and it's a slightly different interpretation, but so far it is really great. He's, again, physically, he's cast very well. I mean, he's quite large and bald and stuff, but I like how he's very soft-spoken in this. Again, you get to see some of his vulnerability when he first meets Vanessa. Obviously, he's very taken with her, and he's not putting on an act when he's actually acting shy and nervous around her, which is really cool, because, you know, it's, again, a vulnerability thing where he's usually supremely confident and even intimidating. And by the time the episode's over, we get to see, you know, the other darker side of him, too, and what he's really about, because he's not just a crime boss that, even though he tries his best to keep his hands out of it, he will get his hands dirty, because he did have that past. They haven't talked about that much, but again, if you know Wilson Fisk, he had a very hands-on experience in the criminal element, and is certainly a very intimidating and powerful physical force, and they have that too. So I appreciate that a lot. Again, I'm really liking how this is shaping up. The episode I just watched, 6, is where they first have their first encounter. Again, mild spoiler. In this encounter, it's good because it's not even it's more like a prelude to that, because they don't meet face to face. They wind up just having a conversation with each other. I mean, Daredevil and Fisk have a conversation with each other on over a walkie-talkie, and it's pretty cool. And again, you get, you know, they reveal a little about each other and their motivations and stuff. Again, Fisk, he's looking a lot different from your average crime boss, because he really believes what he's doing is right and necessary. Like, he has this vision to change the city, and of course he's willing to, you know, murder people and all sorts of things to do that, but he does all think this is for a greater good, and he's, you know, it's up to him to do these things, and while it's a dirty, messy business, someone's got to do it, and he's the best to do it, blah, blah, blah. So all that's being done very well, which I, again, really appreciate and I'm really happy with. I think that's probably it. I don't want to go on too long or mess into a bunch of things. I'll say one minor gripe's not a big deal, but a supporting character who they brought in, a character named Claire, is played by the only actor I really recognize so far, and that's, Rosario Dawson. I don't really like her being there. Maybe it's because I do recognize her. I find it almost a bit distracting. I feel like everybody else is their real character, and then Rosario Dawson is in the middle of it as Rosario Dawson. That's, you know, it's not like, oh, she's in there messing everything up, she's terrible. No, you know, I don't know, maybe it'll just take me a little while for her to blend in and assimilate. Right now, she seems to stick out like a sore thumb to me, but I don't mind that much. You know, it's fine. Was there anything else? Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, again, my perspective is really different, because, not just because of how high in regard I hold the Daredevil character, and just how much I know about him, and how much material I have on him, and all that other stuff. But it's also because of my attitude toward television, as I said in the last one, which is I've never been a big believer in the medium as far as telling longer, complex stories go. I mean, my idea of a TV show is usually something like Futurama. I think that's pretty funny and it's cool, and that's the way to do it. For stuff like this, again, you always worry about content. So far, content's been great in this. The violence has been where it's needed to be. The dark themes have been where it's to be. We don't have to worry about commercial breaks. We don't have to worry. Some of the episodes, again, they're usually around 53 minutes. One is as short as 48. One is as long as 58, I think. So that's great too. That they're not, they're not being limited by those sorts of things. But getting back to it, so I'm not a person that watches these shows, and people talk about how in the last couple of years, especially now, we're in almost a golden age of television with all the great writing, and we've got all these series on HBO, which again, like the Netflix series, don't have to worry about a lot of limitations, and that they can have strong content and things like that, and they can get time in. And I appreciate that, but at the end of the day, I guess I am who I am, because it didn't matter how much somebody said that this show, like The Sopranos, was so good, even though it was crime drama. I like crime drama. Or everybody lost their minds over, of course, wow, I cannot suddenly think of what it's called. Breaking Bad, that's like the best show ever. According to some people, again, that's got crime drama and stuff about drugs. And then another great crime drama that's still ongoing that people rant and rave about is Sons of Anarchy. And I'm sure those are all great shows and they're all good shows, but they're just not for me. I watch them a little bit, I appreciate them, and then I don't care. This is for me. This is what I want. This is the crime drama I want. And if somebody thinks it's silly or mature that I need like a vigilante in a costume, well, fine. But that's what I like, and apparently it's what a lot of people like, because I think people are responding well to the show. Anyway, not getting into a thing about that. Just saying, again, my own experiences. I'm not really a TV guy, and it's really gratifying and satisfying to see, TV treat something that TV usually to me is the great ruiner of things. So to see it treat something so well. Like, for instance, I'm a huge Batman fan, but I tried watching the Gotham series, which, again, I'm sure is very well done in a lot of ways, but it just seems so unnecessary. I was like, so it's a show that's, like, about Batman's world, except Batman's not even in it, and they keep shoehorning people in even though they don't fit. Like, apparently, every single person in Batman's world is at least, like, 10 or 15 years older than him, because he's just a kid in this. I don't know, I'm not going to turn this into a thing about Gotham, but, I watched about 5 or 6 episodes of Gotham, and never really gotten into that, and if anybody wants to say they like Gotham or they think they've gotten it better, I'm sure, but it's just never really going to appeal to me, especially not in the way this does. So I'm really happy with this, and it makes me feel good about the other Marvel ones coming in, particularly Iron Fist. I love Iron Fist. Like, he's just a little bit below Daredevil. I think he'd be a lot more difficult to do, so we'll see how that goes. Again, I'm not going to jump ahead. This is about Daredevil, and not just so far so good. As I said, it looks promising. Now I'm way past promising. I'm like, this is great. This is amazing. I love how almost everything is. It's Hell's Kitchen, the way it looks, the way he moves, just all that stuff. The fight scenes have been exemplary. So I'm very close to just rambling and ranting a bunch of stuff off. So the only reason I'm sort of stalling is I keep wondering if there's some detail that I'm forgetting or leaving out. But so yeah, I've watched the first 6. And I think what I might do before I get into the next 6 is just rewatch the first 6 all again, just to, for my own satisfaction and to help me remember things and stuff like that. I mean, I've got a pretty good memory, but why not? And as I said, when you come across something this good, you just don't want to, overdose so it's over too quickly, right? So I'm really trying again to pace myself. Pace myself means, it'll take me about a week to get through the show. But I mean, I am in a position where I could, watch it probably in 2 sittings, the entire show, if I really wanted to. And I've been really trying to not do that. So yeah, this felt really good. Glad to do this, and we've still got some more episodes to go, so I'll try to probably do another update on it, and maybe even before that, finally get a comics episode going and stuff, because really that's what the channel's about, and I've got a lot of good stuff lined up, I think. When you take that much time off, you get a lot of options and stuff piles up. So, yeah, always reading comics, even when I'm not doing the channel, I never stop that. So, you can look forward to something like that, or at least I hope you will. Alright, thanks a lot, true believers. I'll see you all next time, which should be pretty soon. Peace out.